Heyo, duckies and dice fiends, welcome on in. It is Tuesday, and that means it is time for the Table Talk Show. I'm Kay. I'm here with Gilmore, who is demanding all of the pets right now. He's been asleep all day, but now is the time. Now is the winter of our discontent. But I am not here alone. Today, I am here with a very special co-host because Candace the Magnificent, who we all love and adore, couldn't be here for the next 2 weeks, but I have an incredible Matt of MimicsNMisfts, the man,
Hello.
the myth, the legend. Matt, who the heck is you and what the heck is you doing here?
I am Matt. I wear 3,000 hats at MimicsNMisfts. We do all sorts of things, tabletop production, game making, and I generally let my ADHD take me wherever I'm going. I'm here today to be helpful and talk about things, because talking about tabletop games is like top tier on my list of activities.
And thank you for that cheer, Laria. Welcome on in. Yes, I'm Kay. I'm here Tuesdays doing this. Well, technically, I'm here doing this Tuesday and next Tuesday, and then the channel is going dark for 2 weeks because I'm going to a different country temporarily. And then I will be back. And then I shall return with lots of tabletop stories. But this is the Table Talk Show, where most Tuesdays we talk all things TTRPGs, from indies to intersectionality. Our usual host, David, will be back hopefully in June. That is the plan as of now. He is finally out of the hospital, and we are so excited to welcome him back soon. Huzzah. Once again, Gilmore is also helping out as our third co-host and is probably going to be shoulder catting very soon. I see it in those eyes. That look means shoulder cat is coming. But we had a couple different topics we could have covered today. Called it. And we liked the idea, since between the two of us, we have participated in all three of these, talking about doing your actual plays. Live stream, pre-recorded and edited with video, or podcast. Matt, discuss.
All right, so I'm going to start with, I despise editing. I hate it. I can do it for other people all day, every day. But going back and listening to my own voice.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's the worst.
It's the absolute worst. Yes.
Although if you do it in 2x speed, you get to listen much faster, and everyone is a chipmunk, which definitely makes all of the jokes funnier.
That definitely would help.
Yeah. So I have done pre-recorded podcast and live stream. We just wrapped up a game that was pre-recorded. And to give you an idea of what happens afterwards, we recorded all of those episodes by April of 2024. We finished recording. And I finished editing them in January. They're not that long. Go ahead.
We with the Emergency Power Podcast crew, we had a break between seasons 3 and 4, and I ran a little adventure to edit. And well, now season 4 has been completely recorded and mostly edited, and who hasn't finished editing the in-between season? In my defense, I did lose my creative partner and moved cross-country and was laid off in the middle of all of that. But still.
Yeah, you did a lot of things in the mix there.
Yeah, a few things happened. Just a few.
But yeah, editing is honestly so tricky, and then especially if your software decides to fight you and you impromptu send Kay a message of, "Dear God, please help me learn DaVinci so that I have something to do."
I am always happy to help. In fact, I'm giving David and his godbrother a crash course, and have given a couple other crash courses. I am so happy. Any knowledge I have, y'all, if I can share, I will.
And that's the key. I definitely gave up though, and I'm using my copy of CS6, and I just let it process overnight, because then I don't have to worry. I don't care if it's going to take 7 hours. I'm going to bed.
That is absolutely fair. You just have to hope that like Windows doesn't decide it's time for an update and a restart in the middle of rendering, because that's happened.
Yeah, that happened to me last night. That's how I ended up on Windows 11 today.
Yes. There is a part of editing that I enjoy. However, it's a very small part.
I enjoy. All right, so that's fair. I really enjoy the challenge of getting audio and video to match up, like that microscopic second of, oh my God, why is your mouth stopping before the word stops?
Yeah,
I love
terrible.
that because it frustrates me in TV shows to see it. Like if you get a slight lag when you're watching Netflix and you get a half a word out before their mouth opens.
The neurodivergence issue.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please exchange all the crash courses with me, DC. Also, if you want to learn just about anything, go watch DC's channel. DC has incredible tutorials and Tech Friday stuff, and I'm missing so many Tech Fridays now because of time zone. But go check out DC stuff.
And it's super smooth too. I was watching the other day, and DC was swapping between scenes, and the RGB outline of him sitting in the chair is fantastic. It picks up so fast, immediately recognizes where is person, and just goes.
Yeah,
it's great.
So, yes, we jumped right into complaining about editing, which I'm going to be honest,
yes.
I and for good reason, right? Editing is either like so fun or it is torture. It is pure torture. There is no in between. There's never like, oh, I had an okay day. It's all either like that was pulling teeth or like that was magic. I did all the things so fast.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's been the best part, the best and worst part of this pre-recorded episode is we recorded everything last year. I did all of the editing before anybody knew it existed. And then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order, uploaded to YouTube on time. Pan suggested putting it on Spotify, and it was so easy because it's already done. Like all I have to do is here's the audio. Great.
Yep.
So for that part of it, fantastic. If you can give yourself the grace of a long period of time to do the editing, pre-recorded is fantastic. My argument. Go ahead.
Continue. No, continue.
My argument against it is editing and getting people's faces to match up, because as with any tabletop game or anytime friends are together, you know something's going to happen and you're going to take a break because everybody's laughing. Like I legitimately bruised my ribs during one of the recordings.
That show was so funny. Like
it was
that,
so good.
Everyone was so funny. And I'm glad I got to play my own small part, even if I was not there.
Yeah. Everybody got to meet Kai, which means I have another reason to bring, that game back. And who doesn't love, slight screams of horror as the hallway's a little warm? I got distracted. Just a little warm. The hallway's warm and full of screams.
Yes. Editing can especially I enjoy editing podcast and audio only more than I enjoy editing audio and video. Simply because I make a lot of mistakes, y'all. I will accidentally drag a thing. And then be like, how long ago did I make that mistake? Can I sync it back up correctly?
Yes. Which is why, like, I know we've talked a little bit about my editing process. So I record everything and then it gets exported to one program, which is just chop, 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 chop. And then all of those clips get separated from the audio and matched back up while the audio is cleaned, which is super helpful for that moment of, oh my God, I dragged something or I accidentally like I processed an episode and I was like, why is this 2-hour recording suddenly 7 hours long? Because instead of putting it at 100% speed, I put it at 1,000% speed, and it was just, forever. But it's
That'll
much
do it.
easier to handle.
Yeah. This is the trick. So we're going to talk about why pre-record versus live stream in a moment.
Yep.
But like a trick, if you're doing that, y'all, I actually started implementing this for the Emergency Power podcast, and then Pan was like, oh, that's passive aggressive, but I'm going to steal it for Cosmopunk. Because especially in Emergency Power podcast, we would decide like, oh, it's time for a break, right? We're going to take a break. We're going to go do whatever. Or like we would completely derail and it'd be like, okay, we got to get back on top. We got to get back on top. Okay. I'd be like, hold on, clap. And not everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
But if there's just that one, so it's like, oh, break time, clap before break, clap after break. Everything in here can just go. Or here's all, okay, this is where we got off. I'm going to cut. Here's it. Goop, shwoop. Saves so much time because y'all, you end up listening so much over and over and over again just for, where does it start? Where does it stop?
Yeah, I see 4 people talking. Is what they're saying important for the game and I'm just not talking?
Exactly. So that is my little trick to you. And Pan was like, oh, when we get off topic, people they'll take that as passive aggressive. We're like, you can clap off screen. You can mute yourself and clap off screen and no one has to know that you did that except you.
Yep.
Be stealthy. Protect your sanity. So I'm gonna talk real high level and then we can drill down into this because I just want to make sure I kind of hit this umbrella point of I love pre-recorded for like you can really get, especially for podcasts, it's tough to get really nice high quality audio recording out of a live stream. It just is. It's live. Something always goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's great for new players or people who are a little some players who are a little more nervous, are a little screen shy or don't know the rules as well and like might need a little bit of time to kind of collect themselves. It's good if you're like, oh, we're about to go into a really emotional scene. Let's take a break. Everyone get into the mindset of what we're about to do. Like you get more freedom with that.
Yeah.
And you can really get people's best performances. You could be like, I flubbed that line. Let me take it again. Did that all the time in EPP. Love it. But you do lose a little bit of the energy of being live and getting the live audience and having all of that fun. And that is kind of my only real complaint about not doing it live.
Yeah, I can see that. And I will say one of the big benefits, like you mentioned, taking a break before a big scene. For me, it's that moment of like, wow, we're all taking a break. Shit, I should probably write down that this is a content warning.
Yeah.
Something big is coming.
Yeah.
Which was super helpful, like for our finale episode, to be like, hey, I know what's coming is going to get really deep in the feels. Mm-hmm. And I can tell people.
Yeah.
But it does take the spontaneity away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had so obviously home games are a very different feel from all of those 3, right?
Yeah.
Which again, and I've said this before and people look at me like I'm bananas and I don't care. I generally prefer streamed or recorded games more than home games. Simply because I know people are going to show up. Why, Jareth? Why do you have an opinion on that? Why does that upset you so much? He's just screaming for no reason. Yes, Jareth, we know. We are aware. I don't know if the mic picked that up.
Jareth is very concerned about his character's growth.
Yeah, he's really upset with that. He sounds like most people sound when I say I don't like home games as much as I like recorded games. Like, I'm a person, I'm like, I am here to play this game. I am here. I am in character. I have probably been listening to a playlist for the past 3 hours to get myself in the right mindset. Like, I'm here. Let's go. And then you get to a home game, and it's often like, well, we've been here for 3 hours, and we're still debating what food to order.
Yeah, that's getting to be a worse struggle. Like, I've started messaging, our home group a couple days in advance to be like, all right, what's the dinner plan? Like, what are we doing so that at 7:30 we start playing the game?
Yeah.
Like, at 7:30, I round up everybody's 3D printed weapons and hand them to them because we're starting the game and you're going to be in character now.
Yes. There's a great, if you have it, I will try to remember to put it in the description. I'm going to there's a hilarious adventuring party from Dimension 20 where I almost said Adam because Adam and Brennan are such similar GMs that I messed that up. Where Brennan Lee Mulligan is interviewing Lou Wilson, and they're talking about like, Lou's like, I'm the snack king. I will show up. Like, when we were doing home games, I would show up and I'd be like, okay. Like, I would email out everyone before. I'd be like, okay, pizza is where food is coming at 7:30. It's this. It's got this many toppings. You owe me this much. Because otherwise it was all of this, and it's all like, no, now I can be here. I could be an elf. Food is coming at 7, so I could be an elf now.
Yep.
I'm like, that is the perfect description of the mindset of people who are like, I can't, and then like neurodivergence, like, oh, I can't. No, food is here at 7. Be an elf.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely getting harder. Not that it's less fun, but the level of energy of playing with like you for that Starfinder game, like you dive into characters, like you can bring Kai to life in a moment. And sitting at a table with people that are like, oh, yeah, well, I say a prayer and then they just roll a die and see how the prayer does. And I'm like, no, I want to hear, what is your prayer? What are you praying for? What are you saying to this God that you want to keep you alive? And they're like, oh, well, I got a 19 on it. I did good.
I mean, I've definitely got a couple people like that in the home game. I don't mind that, right? I just mind, because again, not everyone is the same level of roleplay as me, and they don't have to be. But I'm like, show up, be here, be ready to play. Like, I start losing my patience when it's like someone rolls up an hour late and they're like, oh, I have to set up my laptop. Oh, my laptop isn't working, but I don't want to have to go to my big computer. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go, I guess I'm gonna go set up my big computer, but I'm gonna go get food on the way. And I'm like, we were supposed to start an hour and a half ago. You were an hour late. We've messed around with it. Like, like, I'm here. Let's play. You don't have to be the best role player, right? I play with someone who's really amazing, but like has a little bit of a speech impediment, and so is really nervous about, doing stuff in character. And I'm like, that's fine.
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
like
doing,
that's right. Like,
yeah,
no, I don't care. Like, they're like, oh, but you're so. I'm like, look, this just happens. I can't turn this off. If you told me you can't do that, I couldn't. Right? Like,
yeah, like I know we talked a little bit about the potential other topic of like getting into character, and I think we have the same mindset. I was gonna say problem, but it's not a problem. Of like,
it's a good problem.
Like that character is living their life right now. Like, I have a character that I've played 3 times that I know exactly who he is.
Welcome in.
I know what he's doing right now. He's running his funeral home. I know exactly why he's as cheap as he is. Like, and it's not everyone, but I'm not going to begrudge, if you're going to show up on time and contribute, like you're doing your thing.
And like the reason I detoured into home games, which again is a completely different vibe, but also like all of these can inform each other, right? So in my home game, I play with someone who the session ran late. I had to leave the last like 10 minutes of the session because my mother arrived from out of town because I was moving and it had run late. And so another person also had to leave much earlier in the session. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's OBS or Twitch being a bit rate. That was the best Freudian slip.
I don't see anything on my screen, but
Okay.
I don't know how reliable that is.
Yeah. I told Matt I am recording this, so if the audio is being bad, I can at least have clean audio. I don't know why this happens. It does sometimes. But basically everyone in the party had to make a decision. It was like, this NPC is offering you this opportunity right now. Do you take it? And everyone who was there said yes. And so the one player had a character who was like, actually, I don't want her to say yes, but it feels like everyone is going to. So Impulse said yes. And then the next session found out, oh no, 2 other people would have said no. 2 other characters were like, no, I'm not doing it. And so that player was like, we ended with the decision. Nothing has really happened. Are you okay with my saying that she didn't? And Jim was like, yeah, like from this point on, you can't take backsies, right? Like once the thing happens, we can't. But like, I am fine with that, especially given, you know, others, your opinion was not fully informed because other people weren't there. And that's one of the nice things about pre-record is sometimes you, in the moment, panic and have to make a decision. And sometimes that's great, right? One of the first things they taught me in one of, I've taken a couple different kinds of improv classes. And the ones where it was character was really great because it was like, it was perfect for a D&D mindset, or a TTRPG mindset, which was like, don't spend too long trying to make the right decision. Make the decision and then make it the right one, which is often generally true. But sometimes, you know, you've got other stuff in your head or you feel pressured or whatever. And it's like, I made the decision. Now I've thought about it 2 seconds and that's my decision. That's not what my character would have done, right? Like that's actually a thing that can happen. So pre-record, you can roll that back. Or a thing that happened in actually season 4 of Emergency Power Podcast. My character had to make a decision. This isn't out yet, so I'm going to be careful about exactly what I'm saying here, but my character had to make a decision. And I knew no question what the decision was going to be, but I didn't explain it very well. I didn't explain why they made that choice. I said it and it made sense to me. And then we moved on and I went, actually, this would be a better thing for them to say. And I asked my GM when we went on a break and I'm like, hey, can I just drop this line right here? And then and Adam's like, yeah, perfect. And so was added in and that's great because it's like, sometimes in that moment, look, David would yell at me, but my character has a lot more charisma than I do, right? They're going to come up with more eloquent things than I would on the fly.
You're doing it though.
Yeah. Like, so that is one of the nice things about pre-records. Whereas, I don't want to go too deep into this right now, but like in one of the games that I was in, the GM and I had a slight mismatch over what the goal was for the character and so we ended up spending several episodes like kind of tug of warring and fighting until it reached a point, and then it reached the point of like, okay, so this is what I need to move forward, and we cleared the air and it was great. But like, had it been pre-recorded, it could have been like, okay, we can wind this back and skip a lot of the stuff that we're now having to spend airtime fixing.
Yeah, and that's a really big point too. Like airtime for, you know, I made a joke about it, but how many centaurs do you need to run the camera? You know, the new rules of how many centaurs can ride other centaurs into battle. And you can take the time live to be like, yeah, I mean, technically you can get 7.5 centaurs with, 18 strength that can stack upon. Or you could just be like, no, they're horses. You can't have horses ride horses. Please stop. We're moving on.
Yes. And we talk about, I warned you I was going to, I don't like rules lawyers, but I do like rules advocates. I love people who are like, hey, so the rule says this. Do what you're going to, right? Because there is a difference between going, well, actually, the rules say this, so therefore you have to do, and if you're doing this, it's wrong, and I'm going to, and then someone going like, hey, just to save us time wondering, the rules say this. I know this rule, right? Like, I could tell you most rules regarding rogues just because I've played so many rogues. It was my first class, and I know them very well. And so, hey, normally, this is how sneak attack works. Also, it's your game, so do what you want.
Yeah.
But if you're wondering, I heard the word centaur, so I know it's a chaotic, wholesome stream. Exactly. So yeah, like, can a centaur ride another centaur? Yes, no, it actually doesn't matter.
Yep.
But what matters is what the GM decides. And knowing what the rules say.
You mean I shouldn't argue that you can find it on page 82 of the GMG?
Right. Yeah, you know, we need to get a centaur emoji. But everything's been a little bit out of commission because, no, David. So that is one of the things. And again, for newer, if you're just learning the rules, look, especially in live stream games, but just in APs in general, I love having either a new or a newer player at the table because it makes it so much easier to explain the rules quickly, easily, especially if you're good at kind of that. If you've built up your GM muscle to be like, okay, hey, just if I say roll something, assume it's a D20. Yep. Cool, easy, right? If it's not a D20, I'll tell you. If you're able to do those things like, oh, hey, your sneak attack works this way. Cool. Especially if you've got another really supportive player at the table who can also hop in and be like, oh, by the way, you've got flanking. So you get to roll with advantage.
You get to do this,
roll 2 and take the higher, right? Like that. I love that because a lot of the reason people watch APs is to learn the game, is to learn the system, is to see would I like to play this. I'm about to have to go binge a bunch of Daggerheart because I can't decide if I want to play Daggerheart. I'm not sure.
I've heard yays and nays, and
there are things about it that I really like the idea of, and then there are things where I'm like, I feel like it's going to be very GM dependent for me with that one. But
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think, I know that's kind of where you're at with like Powered by the Apocalypse too. Like a bad GM can really take away from a game.
Yeah.
Which is also something that a pre-recorded game can help prevent.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Like I know, a bad D&D GM put me off playing tabletop games for like 5 years.
I stopped doing open call charity games for a little while because I had one GM who was bad. And I won't go into it all, but it was literally like that game ended and I immediately left the Discord server.
Yep.
It was like I was on camera and professional till the moment we were off camera, and then I was gone.
And then that's it. I'm free.
Yeah. It was like I said thank you, and then I left the Discord.
So you said podcasts are your preferred because you would rather edit audio. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best for visuals? Like I know a lot of people that do live streams get really all done up. You dress as your character, and then maybe one episode you're like, shit, I'm late and I can't do it. So the advantage for pre-record is you have that time. You can match it into people's schedule. Like at PAX, seeing Candace dressed up as Merlin was fantastic.
Yes.
And knowing that Candace could do that for every game, a 10 episode game as Merlin on their schedule.
Yeah.
Could absolutely Merlin every time.
Yeah.
Done up. Versus having somebody be like, I ran late at work. I know we're supposed to start going live. Like, we announced it. We're going live at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. It's happening. There's no time to do the thing.
Yeah. So, look, and I will say this. This is true. This is true for live stream, for pre-record, and for podcast. Your audio matters more than anything else. Anything else. Have good quality audio. Gotta, right? That is a requirement. People are listening so much more than they are like relying on the visuals. When it comes to after that, for me, I'm going to say something here that's a little bit spicy, and this is not to discourage anyone else or anything you want to do or talk, throw any shade on anyone at all. This is just the way my particular brain chemistry works. I really, really like to see the performers' faces.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you want to go camera off or like the little avatars, what are they called?
Yeah, no, that's the right idea.
No, there's
Avatar.
There's
VTuber.
VTuber. I got V and my brain went to VTT and I'm like, that is not. And it's like, no, we're talking tabletop, so it's VTT. And I'm like, no, that is not the right. VTuber don't do it for me. And I know so many people who are like, it's so cool because you can like actually make the avatar of your actual character and you can actually be, and I'm like, I don't know why, but I don't connect with that in the same way for me. I want to be able to see, like, I mean, you've played with me, Matt. I live for the moment when I can drop something and watch everyone go.
What did they say?
Those reactions are what I live for, and they're what I live for in watching other people play and perform.
Yeah. There's also something special about. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Continue.
There's also something special about being able to see people and having that somebody's kind of looking around the table to be like, I'm gonna pass the buck, and you can make that eye contact, or I'm gonna bring you into this. Like, we played a home game. I don't even remember what this is. I do remember. It's called Fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of the game is everybody's playing. There's no GM. And you just look at the person at the table and you're like, you're this, but you're Gertrude now. All right, Gertrude, I need your help in this store. Like, this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can do that as effectively as a cartoon, which may not be fair on my part. But I will say the balance, if you could do both, like, I wish for the game that I just finished and posted and did all the things, all of those times that I'm like, wow, I don't like how this is edited because I'm chopping from a person being like to instantly. I could have put their character art in there and been like, their character's doing a thing. That would have been great. I thought of it today.
That's how it goes. Yeah, DC says there's some sort of shared psychology thing where in general people are more forgiving of video mistakes than audio errors. Also, like, look, y'all, I am very like, I like to watch, right? I consume more video streams than I do podcasts. I just do. That's just how, but I'm not looking at the screen the whole time. And if one person is significantly louder than everyone else, or it suddenly gets quiet, if I have to turn my volume up to 40 and then someone yells and it blows out my stuff. And I told, I'm throwing this out for you editors because I told Matt this. If you go onto a YouTube video and you right click, there's a thing called nerd stats or stats for nerds or something like that. And it will tell you how much they have reduced. It'll tell you what the audio, the adjusted audio for that video is, because YouTube adjusts the audio. It will adjust it down. It will not adjust it up. So when you are packaging your video for YouTube, turn the volume up louder than it should be. Balance it all so it's nice and level, and then turn the audio up louder than it needs to be, and YouTube will bring it down to the level it needs to be, but it will not boost it to the level it needs to be. Check your videos turn on that nerd stat stuff and see if it has adjusted your volume down or not. If it has not adjusted your volume down, make your volume louder until it adjusts it down. But again, balance it, equalize it, make it so it won't hurt people's ears, because it can't help you if the entire video is like this. And then there's a huge noise at one point. It will adjust it to that.
Yeah, you don't want Netflix syndrome.
Oh, God.
Like
or
Colleen
commercials.
has been. Yeah, Colleen's been watching Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
Horrible show. The people are insane. But all of the commercials that come on are normal volume. They use the full surround sound. And then the show comes back on and it's just the front speaker. And it's insane.
Yeah, it is so rough. I hate that. Ribonanza says she actually prefers the opposite. She likes to let her imagination run wild when she can't see anything. Autocorrect is getting worse by the day. It absolutely is. It bothers me as someone who takes a lot of time and care to balance my audio. Yeah. Like, if you don't know that YouTube will adjust your audio, you know now, go check.
Yep.
DaVinci Resolve has this great section called Normalize Audio for YouTube. If you use the pre-selected YouTube things, the render queue thing. Yes. I actually balance mine louder because I would rather YouTube turn it down.
That's fair, yeah. I think that's like the hot and cold theory. If you're hot, you can only take off so many things before it's a problem.
Look, again, I am a person who is innately cold-natured, and there is no way I can put on enough clothing to ever be warm enough. It's not possible. Even if my core is warm, my hands and toes will be ice cold and freezing. So I debate that, but also I recognize I'm a special case. So yeah, getting that audio balance right is so difficult in live stream. Even now, I record on separate channels so that later I can adjust the volume of me and anyone else on the stream, because even sometimes we'll test it beforehand and I'll look at it and visually it's all good. And we get live and people are like, we can barely hear a person. I'm like,
yep.
Well, it looks
because
right.
OBS is just a jerk sometimes.
Yeah.
But also that's why I highly suggest please have an audio redundancy. Like I know Kay mentioned, we're recording the Zoom call because that's how you make sure that you get to keep the audio. And like talking about live streams, I started branching out into live online where I'm playing over a Google Meet or something with people, and a live game at the table that is like right there. I can almost touch it. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I have my audio redundant? Like I can't record the Google Meet. So I'm like, how do you back up all of that information? You know, how many different microphones do I need to have per person to split this all out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get lost in that if I
yeah, that is, I can offer suggestions on how to do it online, but it was just, this is an aside, but I'm bragging because I'm so excited, going to the UK to play almost 2 weeks of TTRPGs with friends, and it is going to more than double the time I have played TTRPGs IRL in person, because I have played 4 sessions of TTRPGs live and in person in my entire life. Everything else has been online.
Really.
So they're like,
yeah, see,
we get to do this. We get to fix that.
Okay, so live in person ever, or home games recorded just ever?
Ever. 4 sessions.
Damn. All right. Well, I'm very excited. We broke the home game
in 4 sessions, and then the pandemic started.
Yep, that really put a damper on things. You know, the whole, I can't go outside.
I mean, it was great for me. I got to play so many more TTRPGs than I ever had because everyone was inside and online. But it's like, I tell people, they're like, oh, I don't have a DM screen because I've never DM'd in person.
That's so wild because I'm like, my one friend has been stocking up on Dwarven Forge because he loves to run games. And most of what we do is in person, which I think is why I struggle a little more. Like, I don't think I could do an online home game. I can't be trusted at my computer. I have 3 screens and another computer right here. Like, I can do so many things. All of my game consoles are hooked to my computer. And I'm just gonna sit here and wait 5 minutes for one person to take it to, like, I'm
This
at
is
a
why I'm the
table.
note
It's
taker.
fine. I see. That's why I have to be the note taker at the home game, because that's enough activity that I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to pay attention.
Yes. I'm like, and also like once I went, because we had 2 other people who were note takers. And one of them turned out couldn't make most of the games. So it was like, oh, well, I want to make sure she gets notes. And then another person was taking notes. And they weren't very good notes. Said with all the love in the world, they were not very good. And I'm like, well then. And I had been taking notes in a notebook with a little bit of shorthand because I used to be a games journalist. But then I started taking notes directly in Google Docs, and I used to do transcription for reality TV. So
Yep.
I transcribe entire conversations, and people are like, "Yeah, well, you let me hyper focus." The problem is stuff I say isn't as well transcribed, but you know.
All right, Kay, but for the humble brag, what's your words per minute?
Oh, these days I don't even know. I used
That's fair.
I used to be over 300. I don't think I'm that
God
high anymore.
damn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was very fast. There would be
Okay.
typos.
I mean,
But
yeah, I think what was the Mavis Beacon thing was like anything over 85% accuracy.
yeah. And again, a lot of my transcription is also like because I do a lot in shorthand, so I have to go back
Yep.
after and like expand it out. But it's also like I am not just the note taker. Like I remember so much more about the sessions because I go back and
Yeah,
clean up
because
the
you can go
notes
back in.
before I
Yep.
share them. So yeah, I have a very good. People are like, "Oh, what's it?" I'm like, "Oh no, it was this." And they're like, "How did you?" I wrote it and then I rewrote it, so we're good. When I'm producing a show for someone else, they'll have the stream, the recording off my machine, and just the audio mix that I recorded on the Rodecaster Duo, says DC.
Yeah. Yeah. So like all right, my plotted machinations are everybody has a DJI microphone, which has onboard recording. They're paired up to feed into the Rodecaster, which will record 4 sets of 2 microphones at a time for a secondary recording. There's an area mic above the table that will record everything, and then each of the Rodecaster feeds into 2 separate computers to record the files there. So if I lose a whole computer, I still have. And I say that like it's a joke, but it's happened
No,
enough recently.
or like we had an issue in EPP where I was recording the backup audio and my computer just restarted partway through, just like hard crashed partway through, and I lost all the backup audio, and then the person's main audio didn't save. And fortunately, and this is hilarious, someone else's mic was so hot that we could actually hear that person a little bit through their recording. So I was able to go back and like transcribe out kind of, yeah, like this is basically what was said, I think, mostly. And so it sucked because he had to go and retake like the majority of an episode. Fortunately, he hadn't talked that much, but did at least have an idea. So I was able to give like the general combine everyone's audio but yours, and then here's like what was said in these spaces roughly. Go do it again. But yes, redundancies are so important. And even if, look, y'all, do not trust the Twitch VODs. Don't do it. The Twitch VOD should not be your only recording. Record it locally. especially because I made that mistake very early on. I went through and I collected a whole bunch of copyright-free music, and then Twitch muted big chunks of it, even though it was
Yep.
copyright-free. And
'Cause
so
they don't care.
I missed a whole chunk of that charity game. Don't back up everything, redundancies on everything. And again, if you are watching this and you're just starting out, you're trying to figure it all out for the first time, like, just get used to streaming and recording, to setting up and going live and recording it and having it, and then start figuring out separate audio tracks. And because if you try to do all of that first go, you're going to get frustrated. It's not going to work. Something's going to go wrong. Multiple things are going to go wrong. You're not going to know what went wrong first to cause all the others. Like, I still sometimes don't know why this stream doesn't behave the way it should. So give yourself space for it to not be perfect and build up to it. Look, you cannot build a Pokemon game today. You have to start with the first Pokemon with very basic stuff and then add on the next generation and add on the next generation. Because if you put out everything right now with an entirely new system, people are going to be overwhelmed and they're not going to know what to do with it.
Yeah, this sounds like what Emily's been telling me. I started learning Unreal Engine development, and I was watching tutorials and I was like, wow, I want this thing, but I really hate how they're doing it. How dare you brute force this? And then I was doing, 7 or 8 things at once. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I don't remember what I was doing and why any of these things don't work.
Yeah. Or perhaps the easier, kinder. You can't have Baldur's Gate 3 without Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, I'm so mad I didn't know about those cartoons that they put out with the updates.
Aren't they so
until the
cute?
very last week. Yeah. Okay. But so live stream pre-recorded podcast, redundancies for audio. It's harder to get redundancy for video. So like my OBS records in MKV and it dumps it right in my movies folder. And after the stream, I'll go and make a copy just to be like, it's stashed. It's put away somewhere. What is a Pokemon? That's right.
What is Pokemon? Yes.
But the real question is Gomamon.
Gomamon. The bestest.
Yes.
Where is he?
Back left on my view. Oh, there's 2 of them.
I got 2 of them.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a little thing, and when he goes, his little head goes.
That's amazing. Okay.
Actually, I have 3 of them because I also have a Gomamon and Joe, but it's all the way over there. It's my favorite Digimon and my favorite trainer, or Digidestined.
Yeah. Digidestined.
Like my favorite personalities. I do find, look, the hardest part of streaming or any of this full stop is audio. I've had far fewer disasters with video than I have with audio. Video is actually pretty rock solid. It's the audio that will generally mess up.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is a lot of the video is either plug in webcam, do video, or you're on a Zoom call, and if your video isn't working, somebody's going to see it because we're watching you do the thing.
Yeah.
Whereas audio is a bit trickier.
And like OBS, it's happened to the show multiple times where it's like everything looks fine. Everything looks fine, sounds fine on our end. And then I get the VOD back. Like, and that's something to do with OBS or my audio going into it, and I still can't figure it out half the time. Audio is a problem. But be aware, it doesn't matter if it's live or pre-record, things will go wrong, and you got to roll with it. You've got a little bit more leeway if it's pre-record, but also you're trying to respect the time of between usually 4 and 6 other people.
Yeah. Or you can just book a whole 2-week vacation and do that all at once. I heard that's the way to do it. As someone who is also plotting that,
I am very excited to hear how that goes.
I'm so ready, but also entirely unprepared. And thank God for Colleen and Cherie, because they have questions that I just would never have thought of.
Good.
Like, how much coffee do we need? I don't fucking know. We need coffee. There's a lot of it. There's 5 people. Bring extra. I don't know what extra is. Like, but yeah, so that's gonna be like a whole another avenue of live streaming this, where we're on video, but it's gonna be live streaming. Well, not live because we're not live streaming. So it's gonna be a different version of pre-recorded for me.
Yes.
I'm not doing, oh, your camera's off. Oh, this camera's off. I have to be like, oh my God, you hit the camera with your head. We have to adjust it. Please hold.
Yes. Yeah, DC says the ability to roll with issues is so important. And look, y'all, I don't think this is deep lore anymore. I think most people know this now. I used to work for Red Bull. I got hired at Red Bull. I worked there 2 weeks, and then they said, get on a plane. You're going to the Ninja New Year 12-hour live stream. You are going to be helping run this live stream. Also, you personally are going to be doing running the first public test of the Twitch poll system with a person who works for Twitch standing over your shoulder watching you do it.
I can feel the panic building in my chest right now.
I was actually pretty cool. I'm not going to go into details here, but if you watch that live stream, you know what did go wrong. It wasn't the poll system, right? I got to help handle what did go wrong there. But I'm decently good at dealing with pressure because I've done all of this, and we were doing a charity stream with a Flabbergasted that the incredible Candace the Magnificent was running. We were live. The stream started going terribly. Like the tech was not behaving, and we made the decision of everyone to sit tight. We're going offline. We'll be back in 5 minutes. We shut off the stream entirely, restarted the stream on David's computer, reset it all up, and went live on a completely different computer from a completely different state. And it worked. It was fine after that. But I'm sitting there, we got to the end of it, and I'm like, y'all, I'm all these people who volunteered their time. I'm like, I am so sorry, right? I am so sorry that this went the way it did. I'm so sorry that and they were like, I am so impressed. You just went, no, we're not going to cancel the stream. We're going to restart on a completely different computer. And you pulled it off and you kept going. Who does that? I've had streams cancel entirely for less. So if you can just keep going, I have been so impressed and touched and flattered by how understanding people are, especially if you find a way to work through it. So do keep that in mind. If things go wrong, everyone knows things are going to go wrong. People generally don't get terribly mad. Oh, Lurking Rider, thank you so much for the subscription. 12 months, 1 year already. Thank you, sir.
And yeah, DC's got a good point that sometimes the only strategy for something going wrong is to have it go wrong. There's a lot of, almost every streamer I know jokes, I'm a professional streamer and it's not a real stream if something bad doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Because it's true.
Yeah. And you won't know how to handle those things until you've had to handle them.
Yep.
Something will go wrong. David runs production, or did run production for pretty much everything, until he wasn't able to. But when something went wrong, I was the person troubleshooting because I set up his entire thing, and he he's a great producer, but I understand the system more than he does. So I set it up. He pushes the buttons, makes it all work. And then when something breaks, I'm like, okay, try this. Okay, now try this. Okay, now try this. Texelos, aka Tech Issues, will be the name of an amorphous trickster deity that affects everyone indiscriminately in a story TTRPG one day. You know, that is
Excellent.
Tech Issues is perfection, the lurking writer. But yeah, obviously I will say, and I like to say, I feel like this should go without saying, but if you don't say it, then someone is going to not know. Live is always better for charity.
Yeah. Every time.
You can. I'm sure there is a way that you can do a pre-record, but live is so much better.
So even I have seen one successful pre-recorded charity stream, and only the game itself was pre-recorded because like a week before the GM was live and was like, we're collecting donations, we want to have this option, you could do this, this, and this. And it was the chat and all of the donations built the characters that people were playing.
Okay.
And then everybody was just, you shuffle up the sheets and here you go, here's your character, this is what chat built for you. And that can be really successful because you have that randomization, but you also have the professional quality of, I have 3 days to read this character and figure out who I am.
Yeah.
But there's nothing quite like being in the moment of the DM getting really excited and then being like, here's $5. Just what if that player got a nat 20 instead?
Yes. The oh no, everything is bad. Have a reroll. Like the number of times Lurking Rider has saved me from now. Star Wars game, I almost lost my girlfriend. And Lurking Rider saved me from a nat 1 persuasion.
Yeah, see, there you go.
It was real bad. I was real afraid. So yeah, live is better for charity. Generally, I'm sure DC is over there going, I've actually gotten a really great idea for how to do a not live charity game. And I can't wait to see what DC does with that. But generally, the live and in the moment thing. And again, I love the energy that comes from a chat, from everyone getting in on the jokes when you are playing live. I am gonna shout out back to the first Christmas, or the first big Christmas charity game that we did. The not the lullaby, it was I'm blanking on the name of it. We basically heisted an emerald mine and made fun of Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, with Melon Tusk.
Yes, Melon Tusk.
Yeah.
And we'd had a bad falling out with someone in the TTRPG space who's no longer around, and who had actually specifically been really terrible to Candace. So one of the minor bad guys in there just had that guy's name and had a description that David had used to describe this guy that no one except for me and Candace knew he had used to describe that guy. And chat latched onto it. And all of a sudden, all of chat was just dunking on someone who very much deserved to be dunked on. They didn't know this was in reference to a real person. And Candace was dying the entire time because it was just such a good inside joke that then chat just grabbed onto, not knowing was an inside joke, and made it an even better joke.
Yeah.
It was joy. Yes, DC, I wasn't thinking that until you mentioned it. Now it's in my head, right? I want to see what you do. I want to see what you come up to. Chat can be the will of the force in a charity live stream, gently helping people who needed it or causing chaos, basically whenever. Exactly. Yeah, and also there are certain there are certain kinds of shows, certain kinds of games and certain kinds of streams that work better for different games, systems, and different audiences. Like, I love them both, but Critical Role versus Dimension 20. They really couldn't be more different, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, I know Critical Role is pre-recorded now, but it's not pre-recorded and edited, right? Like, it's edited for volume, whatever, but like, it's not cut down. I'm still, even though it's not, I still kind of consider it like live, even though it's not actually live, because
there's nothing taken out. Like, they still have all the side discussions. They still have all the dick jokes. Like,
and they weren't like, even when they were live, they weren't like reading chat and interacting with chat.
Right.
So it doesn't feel that different. I know some people have definitely said they feel a difference in energy. I don't. That's me. Could be wrong.
I will say the part where they went from live to pre-recorded mid-campaign 2.
Also, and that was because of pandemic, which also.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I fully understand, like, everybody's safety was absolutely important. I didn't watch anymore.
Yeah.
It just, I tried watching a couple episodes and realized I was just quickly tuning out. And it's not that the gameplay was bad. Like, they're all incredible storytellers.
Yeah.
Something was missing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put my finger on it. But if the live, like, they could look at chat if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Would be such a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, most of Critical Role, especially early on, it was just like Liam being like, I went and read Thirsty Twitter, or not Thirsty Tumblr. I went and read Thirsty Tumblr. Wow.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that example, they're two very different kind of games, right? And you watch Critical Role, and it's long and it's plotting and all of that stuff is still in there. Whereas Dimension 20, it's cut down and it's much more like, it flows nicely. It is it is impeccably edited.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff is cut out. And, especially with like Dungeons and Drag Queens and the wrestling one that's on now, they leave in a lot of the rules explanations, which is great, but also a lot of it's cut out. So it's very like snappy, point. Whereas Critical Role, it can drag on, and it can plod. And you can watch Travis's eyes melt out of his head, out of his boredom of the shopping episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, you know what it kind of hits is a video on work meeting. And maybe that's what kills me. Because like, if my video was on in a work meeting, I would be fired so fast. My face says so many things. And if I'm watching someone be bored, it's just not gonna be captivating.
We had Candace and I were in a thing that I don't think is ever going to come out. But it was a little bit of a disaster. It was fine. Like, it was fine. It fell apart because of scheduling and and it might be revised in a different, better format. But like, we were in a thing and it was not going well. And Candace afterwards was like, I need to talk to Kay because Kay looks like they're having a really great time. And this is kind of, how is Kay? And I'm like, it's my job to look like I'm having a good time. I am the person who is aware of my face and can control it. And not everyone has that. Yeah,
no, not at all. Like, there's nothing like a work meeting where people don't, oh yeah, we're gonna take this offline, and then they keep going. And then they say they're going to take it offline again. And then again, by the third time, I'm like, please just get through it or shut up.
Like, not only, like, I'm not even saying this meeting should have been an email. This meeting should have been a fist fight.
Correct.
I will see you in the parking lot.
That is most meetings. As David would say, come over. I know where my front lawn is. Let's go.
But yeah, and there are some games, some like I've been loud about this. I am desperate for like one of those like low combat political scheming kind of games, you know, like A Court of Fate and Flowers kind of.
Okay. Okay,
Uh-oh.
we need to talk
Okay.
because I have a plan for something like that. I made this whole political intrigue thing, and all of my friends are like, when do we fight? And I'm like, no, that's not how this one works. Like, you need to go have conversations with people and find out all the tea, and that's how you win.
I have
And they're like, but I want to stab someone.
my first like all my previous D&D characters were like imported from previous characters, so I could like know them. The first like character that I made for D&D is technically a rogue, but like was made to be like that kind of like mastermind. And I'm like, I was supposed to play them 3 times. 3 times the game fell apart.
Oh,
But
yeah.
someday I have still never played that character. I have custom made dice. They're in. Where's Ashton? Ashton is guarding the chonk D20 I made for that character, and I've still never got to play them. Those would be great for like a long form live stream, right?
Yep.
But also those would be great for, you could take that, pre-record it, and really punch it up and have the music cues that really swells and really like.
Yeah, I will say that is a huge bonus for pre-recorded. Like, especially as the person doing production and GMing, there is zero shot that I'm going to hit the spooky noise button in time for the spooky noise. I have done it once, and it is only because we were online and we were playing Duality, and I had pre-record, like I went, all right, I did the thing that AI does, and I went and scraped a bunch of audio of all of my players talking from their videos online, and then edited them to be creepy, so that when they talked in game, I could push a button and they have to listen to their own voice with consent. Everyone had consent, which is, go check out the Lines and Veils. Very important. But yeah, like in the pre-recorded games, I can go back and be like, oh, they're talking about gunfire. I can put gunfire here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the podcast thing that I'm editing. It's so nice too. Now look, I think David has said a couple times his favorite thing about when I GM is finding out what noises the monsters are going to make, because I make really good monster noises apparently.
Can confirm.
And when I get to edit it, generally I actually keep the noises I made but add effects to make it even creepier.
Okay.
There are some where like I definitely like poured in, like if I can't get a low enough, but like there was a monster that did a creepy little clicking noise, and so I just took that and then put some reverb and some echo on it, and like I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't know that was a sound that came out of my mouth hearing that. Then again, I've had people say I didn't know that was a sound that came out of your mouth. Like it sounded like an effect in real time. So
yeah, I still remember some of the monster screams and stuff you did in the Starfinder game, and going back, and I was like, oh, that wasn't a button I pushed.
No, there's no combat. You have to use your words to win. But that's what I mean. Why else did you name this campaign Verbal Combat if you didn't want us to use our sharpened wit to stab people?
Is that the name of your sword, Sharpened Wit?
I love Verbal Combat with the Mortal Kombat K.
That's pretty great.
Verbal Combat!
I think that's been such a big thing personally, for running games. Is I am a very different person in the GM seat, and I can argue with you in real life because it's just make believe, and I don't care what your character thinks. I can't do that in real life. I'm not going to argue with you about what we're doing or what the plans are.
Yeah, I've definitely been in an interview for a job when they're like, so you're a community manager, but like you've got a ton of Reddit gold, but you have no recent Reddit activity. And I'm like, I'm not arguing with people unless I'm paid to, right? Like,
Right.
what's the point of that?
Yeah, there's so many. The more we're talking about it, the more I'm like, shit, I need to just pre-record a bunch of things because I can have more fun with it.
Workaround, my class is wordsmith. My words literally become steel and stab people. So one of my friends is roping me into the Horus Heresy Warhammer 40k TTRPG. And he was actually shocked that I wasn't playing a wordsmith. That's what or wordbringers, wordsmith, wordbring. I'm also getting Sanderson's Stormlight Archive classes mixed up in there.
Okay.
But no, I'm going to play a sneaky sneak. I'm very excited. And I don't want to say what, because occasionally people who play in that game might watch this, and I don't want them to know what my sneaky sneak plan is.
I keep seeing Warhammer, and I want, and Colleen is hopefully in bed and can't hear this. I want to touch the Warhammer things. But
my friend plays Warhammer proper, but they just put out a Warhammer, not war game, TTRPG.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be what does it.
Yeah.
I will buy a book. Like I've watched a couple friends talk about the minis and stuff that they buy, and one of them is a very well-to-do guy, single, nice stuff, nice apartment, and he's like, "Yeah, I just got this $3,000 mini that all of my minis ride around on, and this is what I do for combat."
Yeah.
And I heard a great argument for it today. Of he spent that $3,000. He's like 27. He's going to get so much enjoyment out of that $3,000 spend. I can't do it.
It's like I do not regret paying for blueprints because I'm like, I've gotten so many hours of entertainment out of this. So many hours of entertainment.
Yeah, I wonder if I can play that. I'm gonna have to boot that up later. At least get another day down.
But yeah, so if you're there, okay, let's as we're kind of nearing the end of our time, let's kind of hone in on like what do you think is best for what kind? When is it best to do a podcast? When is it best to do pre-record? When is it best to do a live?
So directly from audience feedback, if you can turn whatever you do into a podcast version, it is so much more accessible to so many more people that you will hit an audience that you won't see otherwise.
Yes.
Live streams are limited.
I will say, y'all, I have separated audio files for every episode of the talk show. I just don't have the time to go and edit them correctly for no video podcast only. But they're there, and someday I will have the time and or be able to pay someone to edit them. And then the talk show will be out on podcast format. But right now I cannot.
Yeah, like it's not something I had ever considered before. Like I can use one social media site and that's it. All of my stuff is on Blue Sky. I can't do Twitter. I'm lucky I can manage hanging out in 3 Discords. Like that is the scope of where I'm at. And adding Spotify took like 3 seconds. I dragged my thing in, it exported the audio I already edited, and then it was done. That's it. So podcast, I think, is A tier for either live streamed, pre-recorded, strip the audio, cut out the blank spots, put it on a podcast.
Also, but I will say, make sure you spend the time cleaning up that audio.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh
export it
yeah.
raw and unbalanced.
No.
You will get, it'll be bad. It'll be real bad.
You'll get flames all over your comment sections. So outside of that, live streams, like you said, for charity games, and live streams always have an energy that like I can't recapture in a pre-recorded session. And I'm going to say it about my own game. I watched all 5 episodes of All In for Estia as we were streaming them. It was not as good as the day we recorded it. And if it had been live, it would have been like knock your socks off. Not saying it wasn't a good game. Everybody at the table was astounding. Right. Hey, it's a ton of fun to listen to. But like, I seriously, like, I bruised my rib laughing while we were playing a game. And I have never done that before. And hitting that point of seeing live everyone's joy and not knowing what's coming, which might be different for me because editing, you know, I'm watching this clip 9,000 times.
It also feeds, right? Energy feeds energy feeds energy. One person in chat gets really excited. That's what, like, you just need one person active in chat and then someone else to get active in chat. And
it's just, yeah.
I think someone said it great. It's like the distance from sitting at the table yourself and watching someone sit at the table is like standing on the beach versus looking at a photograph of the beach. And then there's another layer of removal, you know, at some point you're looking at a picture of the beach. And that can be great for, if you're really good at editing, if it's high quality polish, like that can be great. And that can be exactly what someone needs. That can be a great portfolio piece for you, for everyone who played. Like, look, this is the quality that I can do. But also we're humans and we like things that are a little bit gritty and a little bit messy. And there's something about stuff going live and something going wrong and someone misspeaking and it not being edited out. And that becomes the running joke, right? And then I just went to the Ren Fair and we went to the joust, and one of the jousters, it was the first day, it was opening day, we were there. He comes up to ride, and someone in the audience he was the opponent for the other side as he comes parading past us, and someone in the audience was like, "Tiny head!" And the guy turns, it's like, "You're not supposed to remember that." Like, that was the heckle from last year, and here it was back on day one. It's that kind of like thing that builds. Same thing happens in live streams. I was in a game with Candace on a channel that we don't talk about anymore, where it was pre-recorded and we played it live, and it was just so incredible. And then I watched it months later, and it was like, this is good.
It's just not the same.
Yeah, there's something about it's not the same. I feel like it doesn't feel as stark with a podcast for some reason.
And I think it might tie to what Ribonanza was saying, where if it's a podcast and there is no visual indicator of what's happening, your brain can do astounding things and make up whatever visuals it wants.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the switch of where Critical Role went from live to pre-recorded. And it's not that the game changed, the players didn't change, nothing about the content changed. But like you said, instead of standing on the beach, I'm looking at the beach through a window. And there is no breeze, there is no smell, there is none of the accompanying senses are there. But I can still see the beach, so I know it's real.
Yeah. And like, even with, you know, in podcasts, we get to have fun and we get to edit in the explosions and the pew, pew, pew. Yep. And like, yes, GMs will sit here and will make those noises. And if you get a GM like Matt Mercer, who actually makes those noises live at the table, right? Or like, I make monster noises, but they're so much cooler when I could put just a little bit of an effect on it, right? And then when you don't have that visual and you get that super cool audio, your brain goes, "Oh, this is what that looks like."
Yep.
And that to me feels so good on the same level with I just dropped this revelation. I have like 2 clips from the Star Wars game 2 sessions ago where I twice broke one player. And I just went and took clips specifically because her face is like, and it's joy. It's like, that's what I live for as a player, as a GM, doing that moment where everyone's like, what? Oh, it's great. And if I can't have that, then I want it in my brain.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's where the live stream differs from the pre-recorded. Is you have that expectation of what's coming. Like when you're live, you don't know what could happen. Like it could be 3 seconds from now and my camera could shut off and you would never know.
I just dropped
Oh yeah,
another.
did it kick me out?
Yep.
It hates me.
That's fine. We're near the end, but accessibility is great. So we'll keep those captions going if we can.
Well, I spelled my name wrong this time, but
I mean, it's spelled correctly. It's just.
Well, yeah, I have my caps lock key on apparently.
Yep.
But yeah, and I think that's part of like you're talking about. You get the energy off the people at the table, and you lose a little bit of that magic when it goes through the filter of an edit.
Yeah, and there is too just that instant acknowledgement of the audience. Someone in chat, lurking writer makes a pun, and then I 100% steal that and drop it in game, and everyone, it becomes that fun little fourth wall break that we can all share together, and there's an acknowledgement of the chat, and that's really great too. So for me, like, yes, live is incredible, but you got to have your audio on point. You got to have audio on point, and you got to have energy. Because look, y'all, I can fix 80% of bad energy in an edit. I can't.
Challenge
I've seen
accepted.
it done. I've seen it done. I won't go into a thing, but like we had a thing where we had to re-record multiple episodes of a thing. No one was excited about it. Everyone worked, but like you could feel the lack of energy. You really can't in the edit.
Yep.
But if everyone at the table in a live one, it's just like, yeah. Cool, it's a nat 3. Next. That you can't fix.
No, yeah, you can't do anything about that. Sorry.
No worries. So live, great to get that energy, to also just show. I think there is a bit of innate suspicion in people for, be it pre-recorded with video or podcast, of like, how long is that person? Like, did they actually do that live? When someone throws out something really funny and quippy and perfect live in the moment, you're like, oh, that person. Whereas, like I said, I have delivered a line in the podcast and then been like 5 minutes later, hey GM, can I retake that line real quick? Can I just reach out? Thank you. It's better now.
How much is it workshop? Like Critical Role got accused of. How much of this is scripted? Yeah.
Which, y'all, they're professionals. They're very good at what they do. That's my problem with all the people who are like, no, I'm just going to market my game as friends at a table because we're friends. I'm like, your friends at the table are not Critical Role friends at the table.
Correct.
It's just how that is. I'm sorry. You could be if you find the right people, but not everyone. Podcast, yes, great. So many more people listen to podcasts than will sit and watch a live video. You reach a much bigger audience. It's much more accessible. Lurking Writer says pre-recorded podcast APs are basically radio plays or the TTRPG version of audiobooks with a full cast. They can be incredible at allowing the listener to become immersed in the story, whether there's bonus audio treats or not. Livestream APs with chat interaction are the coolest thing we get to a virtual form of, the closest thing we get to virtual form of small theater production where the players and the audience get to collaborate and share the experience. Yes. And look, as a person who has done small theater, I can tell you the energy you get off the audience is also, I have definitely done TTRPGs to a dead chat and no interaction. I'm funnier when chat is my energy is different when chat is going. When Lurking Writer is riffing off of stuff I've done, I'm like, oh well, Lurking Writer's doing. I'd better up my game. That's just how it is, right? And it's not a conscious thing, but it's just like, oh, people are here, people care. Cool. Let's go. Like, I'm coming in with the plan anyway. I know this episode I'm probably going to get to drop this big reveal. Oh, but I guess I should also be funny. And yeah, there is. Look, edited, pre-recorded makes for incredible portfolio pieces. That is one, if you are a GM/editor, that is one of the kindest things you can do for people to help them get games in the future. Having that beautiful polished reel, but it's definitely a different energy from the other two, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of those things where like everything has a little bit of a place. Like you said, a charity game is always going to be better live. You have that interaction, and that interaction is what's going to drive donations. It's what's going to get people interested. More people are going to show up. They're going to get their friends to show up. And pre-recorded, you can strive for a perfect game. I say strive because you will fall into analysis paralysis and over edit. Not that that's anything that's ever happened to me. Not once, never.
Me neither.
Yes, yeah.
I can't decide if it needs to be 0.2 seconds or 0.4 seconds when this sound clip starts. Does that sound?
Yeah. What do you mean I'm 0.01 seconds away from the sound clip playing? No, that can't be right. Go ahead.
No, you were finishing a thought.
No, my thought quickly flees. So that's it's totally
out. But yeah, so, and again, think about, and Emergency Power before my time started as a live stream that was then edited to podcast, and they went, you know what? No, we're just going to podcast it. And that is also completely fair. It started as actually a video, edited video with a podcast with audio only as well. And then they just went, editing the video is too much work. We're just going to do the podcast. And it's like, you know what? Fair. That's fair.
Editing video is a lot.
It's a lot more work, especially the bigger the group you have, the more difficult editing is, especially where audio is concerned. Because if someone says something really funny, you want to add a little extra time to make sure that clip gets the moment it needs. You want all the laughs to kind of overlap and then the talking to start, and that doesn't always happen. And so you want to start chopping those down and moving them around a little bit.
Yeah, and how many laughs is too much laughs? What is the appropriate amount of seconds for laughter after a funny moment before you move on to the next beat?
And if you're doing that with video, you can't chop that up nicely.
Nope. Because you end up with the person that's, and then or you're clipping and you have the you see the laugh stops and you're now somewhere else.
So think about your table size. Think of how much editing is going to be. Think about what is the mood of it. Do you want something that's going to edit down and be a lot more snappy? Or do you want something more ponderous and long form? And would your ponderous and long form thing be more dramatic if you did it in a way where you could really have important swelling audio? Is that something, which I often do, where you do live and then afterwards you custom edit in the music to meet those swells and really lean into those dramatic moments? There's a lot of options. None are bad. They're all good. It's what works for you and what works for your time, because editing, I cannot say this clearly, editing takes time and patience. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have the time or patience to edit a whole bunch of pre-recorded games. I just don't. I mean, that's me.
That's fair.
I don't. Will I take the time to clean up audio, to do music cues, yes. But I don't have the time to do a full edit on.
Yeah, and one of the big things, and I'm gonna hold the mirror in front of my own face as I say this, is look out for future you when you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because right now me is 100% positive. I'm ready to do a 10 episode game, and I know I can get it up. No, I can't. I absolutely cannot. There is zero shot I am editing a 10 episode anything in 2025. It's not happening.
And if you are doing, I hate the term, right? But if you are doing the content creator thing, what content are you going to be putting out while you're doing that editing?
Yeah. And even if you pre-record, you're still editing all of that. So like we did a month of Magic last year, which was literally just every day. There's a video that goes up of me opening a pack of Magic the Gathering cards. It took so long to do that, and I was ready, and I learned a lot because I found that you can only schedule TikToks up to 2 weeks in advance.
Yep.
Which means I still had to remember to go back. And in the meantime, while I'm stressing that I might not have uploaded something in the appropriate time frame, I'm supposed to be working on and editing something else, and you're gonna burn yourself out, and it's not gonna be fun anymore.
You are already wearing a gazillion hats, from producer to GM to editor to social media to like there's so much. So be kind to yourself. Like scheduling
Yep.
on top of that. And the other really good thing look, I'm a big fan. We're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna let you go, Matt. But I'm gonna say real quick, and this is one of the reasons I love my home game. I'm a really big fan of TTRPGs where it's like we play this day at this time. So long as the GM can run the game, we play this day at this time. And if you can't make it, I'm sorry, that sucks. We're not going to do, your character is going to be fine, but like we're going to play rain or shine.
Yep.
I am a big fan of that because I know that I can start to get excited for the game that day. And if I can't make it, I know that's going to suck, but I know my friends are going to have fun and I'm going to get to find out what happened when I wasn't there. I'm a huge fan of that. That doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
Totally legit and fair. If you pre-record, be it through podcast or a pre-recorded edited video, like you said, you can fit it in. You can work with people who normally wouldn't be able to. Also, like, I'm not going to say that I've ever, agreed to play a game pre-recorded during work hours that I couldn't have done live.
What? No, nobody would ever do that.
No one ever do that. Present me is always blaming past me for poor decisions. And honestly, that's future me's problem. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, DC knows nothing about wearing multiple hats. Nothing at all. DC's hat collection is excellent. When you're watching Tech Friday, use that redeem to make him change hats. This is where Steve Joyce has tiny hats. I wonder. Yes, exactly. So yeah, think about how does scheduling work? How do you want to deal with? And that is the thing you have to discuss in your session 0, right? It's like, how many times do we reschedule? How many people are missing before we call the game, right? How is this going to work? Because some people can't handle that, and you need to make sure you know those people. You don't want people to feel bad. You want people to come and have a good time. You don't want them to feel bad.
I'm the people.
But yes, that is a very long and rambling deep dive into the good, the bads, and everywhere in between of all of those various things. Matt, who the heck is you? And where the heck can we find you?
I am Matt. I do 7 billion things at MimicsNMisfts. And you can find us as at MimicsNMisfts on Blue Sky, Twitch, YouTube, and Moonbeam, where we are slowly building up the realm. And you can find me specifically as at MimicsMatt. I stream on the Mimics Misfits channel on Monday nights and Wednesday mornings ish. I've been doing a lot of Unreal Engine development. I will be off because I have to build a fence tomorrow. So that's exciting. And then I think we're off for the next 2 weeks while I recover from Starfinder excitement.
Totally fair. And I'm Kay. I'm here doing this on Tuesdays. This coming Thursday, day after tomorrow, find me over at Metal Arc Productions for the episode before the penultimate episode of the Star Wars game. I'm playing Bella, the scoundrel operative who has completely and entirely rejected the Force. So that's been an interesting thing. It hasn't stressed the lurking writer out at all. And then we're back with incredible co-host Matt following Tuesday to chat with Lion.
Yeah.
And then I'm gone. I am off the internets basically for 2 weeks, and I will see you all again middle of May when we'll be back with more Table Talk Show. I believe Candace will be back in the hosting seat. And after that, the penultimate and final episodes, the 2 following Thursdays for the Star Wars game. And then keep an eye out because Magnificent Pride for June is in the works, and we are expecting to have several charity games. And I'm very excited to see. I have handed this over to Candace. I'm like, Candace, I'm running production. What do you want? What do you want me to do?
Good.
I will do it. Do your thing, Candace. Build your dream. Make it a reality. So thank you all so much for hanging out. Ribbonanza, thank you for being the first. Lurking Writer, thank you for the resub. Lyra, welcome. Thank you for the sound bites. And DC, thank you for, as always, being incredible. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Rex, and everyone who's come by and given us wonderful feedback. You all are the best. I've said it before. I haven't said it in a hot minute, so I'll say it again. This show was supposed to just be like a stopgap thing that we would do between running APs, and then people liked it and started asking us to cover things and talk to different people. And now it is kind of the cornerstone of the channel. It would not have happened if not for you in chat. So thank you all so much. It means a lot. If you have things you would like for us to cover or people you would like to have us on after May, give us a shout. Now is the time. June might be a little booked because we're going to have lots of cool people on for Magnificent Pride, so we'll probably have guests that month. But, you know, go watch Matt stream. I am going to try desperately to get back into my regular streaming schedules, but I'm not doing that until after the trip because why try to start something when you're just going to disrupt it immediately? My brain chemistry absolutely cannot handle that. Mr. Gilmore says hello and good night to all of you. Did not hurt my shirt. That's good. And as always, be kind to yourself, be excellent to others. We will see you next time. Take care, y'all.